In today's video, I'm gonna talk a bit about survivability, since I saw a lot of comments talking about how they struggle to survive and how I'm surviving so much. So I will go through some stuff that will help you out a lot to just stay alive. The video is gonna focus on stuff in general, so you can add it to your build, and it's not gonna be class specific. So if that sounds whoa, what is that I'm seeing, Jacob? You're not subscribed? Don't be like Jacob and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the daily Outriders content. And on top of that, you can also find me live at the twitch.tv/widdz. With that said, let's get the video started. So this was actually a video that I wanted to do during the first week of Outriders, but as usual when you make videos, some of the videos happen, some of them don't, and some get delayed. But with all that said, we're gonna start off with some super basic stuff that I still think is worth to mention to increase your survivability. So the first thing is attributes. So on the gun you can see weapon life leech, healing received, and close range damage. And those are attributes. So weapon life leech is a super good way to keep yourself alive, of course. So every time you shoot with your gun, you use life leech. And with this build I made yesterday, I only have 18% weapon life leech, and that is enough to keep me alive. With of course another defensive talent that we get into later. Healing receive could be pretty good as well if you play in a group, but in most cases it's just not that good to have. But something else that is definitely worth to have, especially if you play a normally power build like skill build, is skill life leech. And that can also come on the gear, which weapon life leech can't. So skill life leech does not work with the twisted rounds, but it does work with the blighted rounds, and I think volcanic rounds as well. So if you're playing a pyro or a techno, you could get that on the gear if you're trying to get some more life leech. But I think on techno at least you don't really need that. But yeah, that's just the attributes that you could try to implement to your build to just get more healing. I'm not really gonna go through all the skill trees and stuff, but for example, on Trickster, you can get 5% weapon life leech here. I don't think that is worth to pick up though. And in case you play a normally power build, you have like skill leech that you can get in the tree. And yeah, same stuff as well on other classes. But the main focus on this video is gonna be weapon mods and gear mods, because there are a lot of them that can really increase the survivability. And I'm not really gonna go into tier 1 mods because this video is not gonna be class specific, and I just wanna talk about some general mods that can increase your survivability. But it is definitely worth to check some tier 1 mods, because for example, there is some weapon life leech increase for twisted rounds here, as you can see. Not the best, but it could be a good alternative in the beginning. But with that said, let's take a look at some tier 2 mods. So we can start off with the Rejuvenation. It's actually a mod I haven't used, but it should work pretty well. As far as I know, even when you life leech, this will get triggered. So you get 41,000 armor, 7,000 anomaly power, and 14,000 firepower. So a little bit mixed of everything, but I haven't tested this one, but I thought it was worth to mention. So you will have it for 8 seconds and a cooldown of 10 seconds, and not 100% uptime. But if you get this one, it could be worth to use. Then we have my favorite talent, and I think this one is really freaking good in terms of survivability. Thirst for blood. So killing enemies with a weapon while they're afflicted with bleed increases your weapon leech by 40% for 10 seconds. So I've seen a lot of people in the comment section that have been confused here, and they say like, yeah, you have 0 weapon life leech, so this ain't gonna do anything. So you can have 0 weapon life leech, and this one will just give you 40% when you kill somebody that's bleeding, right? Which is just amazing. And if you don't really know how to put people on bleed, one talent you can use is bleeding bullets, or improved bleeding bullets, or ultimate bleeding bullets. You can find this bulwark shotgun that comes with ultimate bleeding bullets at the vendor right here. So if you're still progressing, it will be hard to buy this one. It will be right here. It will be hard to buy it though, because if you progress too fast, you won't get enough resources. So if you're trying to buy a legendary item, make sure you play on 1 tier below and don't progress until you buy it. So that's a good way to trigger bleed, but there's also actually another way to do it, and that is with bone shrapnel. I haven't tested this myself personally, but this should work really good. So bone shrapnel, killing shots detonate the enemy's bones and turn them into shrapnel that deals 200k damage and inflict bleed on enemies within a 5-meter radius. So I will definitely try to use this one if you can, instead of using ultimate bleeding bullets. So try to get a gun with bone shrapnel and then put on a damage talent. You will have a really good weapon with good survivability when it comes to weapon life leech. So definitely something I really recommend. And since we're talking about bleeding, you could also use vampiric mag with that. And since we're talking about bleeding, you could also use vampiric mag to just keep your mag replenished, and especially if you play ability power bullets, it's really, really good. And there are also some other mods when it comes to weapons that I like when it comes to survivability, is Essence Thief. So shots regenerate your health. And I used to have this on my secondary pump, so if I would lose twisted rounds, which I did back then quite a lot because my gear wasn't the best, I would swap to this one when I played group just to keep myself alive. And I only had it on a pump and it worked really, really well. So if you get this on a gun, then just put on another mod and it could be worth the use. It's not the amazing one, but it did do the job for me as a secondary gun. Killer Medic, is that's more if you play in a group. And you have Ruler of Leeches as well. It is similar to the vampiric one we went through, but this one is 20% weapon life leech for 20 seconds. So pretty good one as well, because 20 weapon life leech is pretty solid. It's not the best ones to use, but if you find it on a gun and you don't have better ones, keep that one and put on another mod. And then we have another talent here, which is not the survivability, but it's more like crowd control. And this one is something I did use super early in the game. So if you get this on a gun, put on another mod and keep this one. Killing shots create an explosion that inflicts ash on enemies within a 7-meter radius and a 1-second cooldown. So you will put everything on ash as long as you kill one ad. And if the mobs gets turned to ash, that means that they stand still and they can't deal damage. So having a mod like that definitely could increase your survivability. So definitely some mods that are worth to take a look at if you would get it on a gun and you don't have a super good gun yet. Then we do have a Paragon, which is 51,000 points of armor for each ally. So this might be good in group, but honestly, they have to be 10-meter close. I think there are better talents than this one, but sure, if you play in a 3-man group and you're always close, you could use that, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Same here, Ultimate Paragon, similar stuff. Would not recommend to use those. And talking about bleed as well, you could use everything I just showed you with the bloody boost, so you get even more damage while bleeding. It doesn't have anything to do with survivability, but then again, a strong offense gives you a really strong defense, so yeah. Plate dodge, I would not recommend. Rolling increase your armor by 33,000, 5 seconds. It's just too low of a value. Then we have mitigation from death, which is really good. So killing enemies while aiming down sight grants you 45,000 points of armor for 10 seconds. And this one stacks up to 3 times. So that will put you at like 140,000 armor versus like a few of these that are just way lower most of the time. And it's just way easier to get this one up as well and keep it going, especially if you're playing by yourself. So this is the talent that I am gonna use. So currently, the best one is Emergency Stance because it currently is bugged. So when you proc this one, sometimes it actually does stay on. Even though like the visual effect of it's gone, you can check at the HP bar and you will see a shield icon. If you have that icon and you don't see Emergency Stance, that means that it's bugged. And you get the 65% damage reduction that Golem gives you. So definitely would recommend to use this one, even though it doesn't seem to work as consistent anymore. But when they fix that, then I would definitely use mitigation from death. Then you also have a few ones here. Like whenever your health drops, you get like some sort of effect. Like this one is 30% burn is inflicted on enemies within a 10-meter radius. You have this one that gives you skill cooldowns reduced by 50%. And this one does the freezing within a 10-meter radius. Like all of those, this one gives melee damage 300%, and this one gives you a shield. Like all of those, and this one firepower, they don't really stop coming. Like all of those are not too good. Like if I could choose any of these, the freeze one could be good, But if you're going against some elites, and especially if they're the alpha melee ones, they get like a bark skin effect, and they are actually kind of immune to some CC. So I don't even think they would get frozen. So if you would go against those, this wouldn't help you. But otherwise, I think this could be a good way to increase survivability as well, if like emergency stance or mitigation from death is not possible to use. Otherwise, those two and the vampiric first for blood, it's definitely what I would recommend. What goes around seems kind of interesting, like you would deflect 30% of the bullets they shoot, but I just think there are better talents to use instead of that. You also have diffuse, so sprinting increase your armor by 42,000 and resistance by 50%. So when you sprint, you're gonna be super tanky. But to me, I don't know, like you're not gonna sprint all the time. So I just think it's kind of not worth it, because when you fight, you're not gonna be sprinting. So with certain builds, that could probably be effective just for the 50% resistance. So if they get CCs, you're kind of fine. And then we also have damage absorber that I apparently missed, which increases your armor by 52,000 and resistance by 10%, which is definitely a pretty decent one, even though I think mitigation from death and emergency stance is just too good. But other than those two, this one is like perfectly fine to actually use. I'm not really gonna talk about tier 3 mods because I haven't unlocked everything yet, because I haven't deconstructed it. But most of them are not too impressive, like reduced damage from elites by 25%. Yeah, that's pretty good, but I feel like in this game, you want to have reduced damage against everyone. You want to have increased damage to the elites, that's super good, but reduced damage only from elite? Nah, you want to have reduced damage from everyone. Because there are like some circle of power here with resistance, which I just don't think is good enough. I guess if you really want to, if you find the crowd control annoying, like the freezes, you could use this, because it reduces this negative status by 75%. But then again, it's like committing too much for a defensive, in my opinion. But yeah, those are some really good defensive mods to keep you alive way easier. I didn't talk about skills, but there are of course skills that you could use to increase your survivability. Like you could use like slow trap, which I never use myself, or you could use borrow time, and you can get a lot of mods that makes it tankier. Devastator, you have like golem, right, and so on. But to be honest, you don't want to put too much defensive stuff, in my opinion. Like you go damage, you can kill stuff fast, and then you have 1 or 2 defensive slots. Like I use only emergency stance, and when that bugs, I use mitigation from death, right? So try to focus on damage, but I thought it was worth to at least show some of the ways to increase your survivability. Really short video today, but I was quite limited on time, and I think in the future I will make another video going through more mods, like my favorite or the best mods in the game, and not only survivability. But I wanted to make a video today and keep this daily streak going, so I hope this video still helped you somewhat. So if you like this video, make sure you like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. And if you're interested in more Outriders videos like that, I do them daily, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. I also do live stream on twitch.tv/widdz, so make sure you follow that one, and I will catch you guys on the next stream or on the next video.